All right. Yate. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining the Indigenous Ways Wisdom Circle. We are so grateful to be webbed together in this form of communication. As much as we want to be in person, this is better than nothing, and it's awesome because we have access, and that's just it doesn't get any better. We have access. So we want to take this time to acknowledge the traditional owners and ancestors of the tribal lands of Oga, Poge, Owinge, also known as Santa Fe. We reside in. We'd like to thank you all. And this evening, we have a very special guest with us who we met right before the pandemic. We met at the Western Arts Alliance gathering in Los Angeles, California. We made a serious connection, and we've been able to stay connected thanks to technology. And now that we are here tonight, we want to thank Brooke, you for joining us this evening. So Brooke Smiley is from the Osage Nation and is a body and earth artist. She is grounded in somatic education, public earth art, and dance performance. Her work engages a deep awareness in the body, our relationships with one another and the world, to tell stories of the land and the bodies that live here. She's also a Western Arts Alliance supported Native Launchpad artist with the Advancing Indigenous Performance Program. Yate, Brooke, yeah, thank you for being with us.
Hawe Zani, Wajaje Osage. I'm here. So grateful. So just excited to be reconnecting with you, Tosh and Elena, and all of the community members that showed up today and that will show up over space and time. I thank you, and I really look forward to sharing mutual exchange.
That is so cool. Well, thank you very much. And as we get this evening started, I usually want to get us all started and acquainted with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, a short bio, tell us about maybe some of the salient events in your life that have impacted your walk, your work, and your global vision, and just we'll go from there. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. I first want to recognize that I am traveling at this moment, and I am on land here in Mohkinstsis, what's also known as Calgary, Canada, what they also call the Treaty 7 territories, Blackfoot, Métis. And in the spirit of reconciliation, I just wish to give gratitude to them and to those who I've met in welcoming me here, and give gratitude for both the mountains and the two rivers that flow on this land. And say, it's been a sunny, beautiful day, and there's been sunshine on my skin, and it's a little drier here, so I'm still adjusting. But it's really a pleasure and honor to join you. I'm a body and earth artist. What I do is always based in how I'm connecting my body with land. And what I uplift and enliven is public art experiences that both bridge diplomacy and education. I am rooted in what I call somatic education, body-based learning, earth art and architecture, sustainable ways of building with the earth, and in particular, super adobe as a California contractor. And I'm also a dance artist. So I've lived overseas for 8 years in companies, touring. And it's really about coming back to care for my brother and care for my family and learn how to care for myself in relationship with them that has brought me back in touch with the Osage Nation. I'm the first in 2 generations to return. And also in touch with how to bring healing to my body and to create spaces where we can be our own best teachers. Yeah, I have big dreams for this work. These last couple years have really supported time and space to really learn how to slow down. I thought I was slower before, but turns out I had some impatience to conquer. And in pairing with this group of women, Sozo artists, I've really been able to dig deep in my vision to bring stewardship of land back into Native leadership with art experiences and how that might look in places like national parks, national monuments, and forests. And I really look forward to meeting you and learning how to do this with my newest work, Earth Speaks, which I think we'll talk about a little later. Thank you, Taj.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much. And I have so many questions for you that I don't even know where to start. So why don't we start with what is somatic movement? I mean, I've heard that for years and I'm kind of curious. I'm like, maybe I should be doing that. Can you tell us a little bit, give us a little education there?
Absolutely. Very short version. Somatic education is simply body-based learning. It's really turning the searchlights of our eyes inwards and creating spaces of deep listening. I lift up a lot of creation story in embryology and in what I call basic neurocellular patterns. So the patterns in which we live and we grow. And by studying these, by studying literally how we move, how movement allows us to grow, it then creates space of what it's like to make a new choice outside of what we know, outside of the patterns that our body normally takes. In somatic movement, it's a space to slow down and to listen. And I guide that really from the success and support of all that's going right in the body, all that is already working for us. So yeah, a lot of the times Western medicine can focus on what is the one thing that's going wrong. And somatic education really brings in the unity of relationships. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. That makes me think about this article I read in the New York Times 2 days ago that really got my attention in the science section. No, it was the health section actually, that talked about dialectical therapy that looks at all the circumstances and sees the different perspectives of it and sees the positive in all of it. And then there's a groundedness. And I'm just like, wow, I really want to explore that because, we have so many youth, our future generations that are, a lot of them are kind of broken, and I relate because I was once broken too when I was in my youth and throughout my life. So I really want to look into that more. So what brought you, Brooke, to the practice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a lot in my body, I meet where I stop myself from speaking, stop myself from moving and expressing. And what brought it to me was addiction with somebody close to me who I loved. And it was this brilliant failure that all my patterns, no matter how much I tried or how much I gave everything, I found all of them not working anymore. And so it really was this time of how do I learn? How do I relearn how to speak? How do I relearn how to move from really who I am? And I think a lot of the times, in my upbringing, it was often encouraged to be silent and to not speak to things that are challenging or difficult. And what I find is that this gave me space to move and to listen beyond my patterns of withholding or freezing. Mm-hmm. So it's really a permission. Mm-hmm.
So are you saying or alluding to maybe opening that window of vulnerability to allow yourself to really feel and explore what's really going on a deep level, and then being able to maybe call it, account for it, or have a relationship with whatever that is to create some healing, and then to obviously maybe share it with others, and knowing that as five-fingered ones, as human beings, as we say in Navajo, we say "Bala Ashlai." That's what we are. We are humans. We are five-fingered beings, that we all share the same, good and bad and everything in between.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how is the unique journey of your life and practice with somatic moving alive in your teaching? Can you talk to us about that? And who do you teach? What's your target audience? Or is there one, or is it just anybody that's interested?
Anybody with a body. We're all in the right place and we all have a lot going right. I'm privileged to get to work with the Chumash, Coastal, San Ynez, and Barbareño bands of Chumash. And I work in Bridging University, at the University of California, Santa Barbara. And a lot of my role there has been to bridge voice and access for them. So I brought a somatic movement conference, international conference there in 2019. And it was really something to then introduce to the field by centering, the local Chumash of how the bodies connect to land with song, with dance, and with story. And I teach 18 to 25-year-olds, and I'm really, there's so much that I appreciate and value about the younger generations now that I'm kind of moving into the middle, as I recognize I've moved. And, and then I have the elders that have been holding it down, that have invited me to learn with them. So it really is a cross-generational practice. And I find that in working specifically with Native communities and working with myself and my own body, which hasn't really been represented before in a lot of the learning, it's how to create safety. It's how to create comfort in unknown spaces when perhaps in my body, the first reaction might be to defend or to fear or to go away. What it's done is it's created a lot of resilience in my body, in strategies, in how to support and slow down and create safety in myself first. So that's really gotten a lot more into my study of trauma, how trauma moves and is held, and how this practice, whether it's 5 minutes of meditation, whether it's an hour and a half of held practice, how it can support us where we are. We don't have to leave where we are to do it. Yeah, and how it can meet everyone. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you really have some grounded qualifiers to be sitting in your space, to be dancing in your space, to be being in your space. And the only reason I say that is because when I seek help, I want the person I'm going to not just be book smart. I love books, I love education, I love academia, but I also love qualifying experiences for whatever it is. And there's just a whole plethora of that. So yeah, that's awesome. I only hope that we can maybe one day bring you into Santa Fe to have a session, and we'll talk at some point.
And I'd be honored to.
We would love to have you and host you in Santa Fe with Indigenous Ways in the future.
Thank you.
So what are your intentions? What do you see in the future? Like, what do you want to do with this amazing journey that you're on?
I want to create access. I'm ready to create access, and across a lot of different platforms, so that younger people can get what they need, within whatever time frame and with whatever interest. It's been so exciting to get to learn more about what the youth need, because that's really how I like to center, is based on what's present. And my intention is to create more access for Native communities specifically. Yeah.
That's where it all starts. It starts with a thought, it starts with an idea, and then the manifestation of it, and then the people that need to come together and make it all happen, because there's many different moving parts, right? And the sacred intention, a perfect sign there, like, just a creation of it all. And I love the word access, because that's a big part of what Indigenous Ways is all about, is making access for all to break the walls of separation. And I will take this into the spirit world with me, that's what needs to happen on a global scale, and through healing modalities, arts, music, food, laughter, sharing, languages, learning from each other, will make us into a more peaceful civilization on a global scale. So thank you for the work you're doing. And how do you lead your students through this somatic movement session? Like, can you give us a picture, like give us a visual of what that looks like?
Yeah, sure. I work both outside in spaces, and I also work inside in studios or classrooms. Usually we start with a walk. Usually we all go for a walk in the space, and give people a chance to just come into their own. Before we meet each other, I give space to meet ourselves. And that's really important to me, just to have space to meet ourselves where we are. Begin the listening process of that. So then another would be to find a place where you want to be in the room or in the space. And I invite rest into the body. I invite you to lay down, sit down, stand up, whatever is most comfortable for people in the moment. And then I'll guide some body-based learning. I will offer things, because I find that what we hold inside is just a mirror of the ripples of what is going on around us. And so I might focus on the bones, and I might focus on how the bones begin as fluid. They begin as oceans. And we grow out of the curiosity to a space. It's not the cells on the outsides of our periphery. They tell the cells behind them, no, let's go forward. They tell the ones behind them, no, let's go forward. So it's like, how to retrace really how we grew ourselves. I go back to a simplicity of when we were just two oceans in the front, yolk sac, an ocean in the back, amniotic sac. And, in learning where our rhythms came from in our body, and just giving ourselves a chance to remember them. They really come forward as support in our bodies today. We're pretty complex. We have a lot of amazing things going on. And I really bring it back to simplicity. And people can be anywhere in the space, and some people might be moving. Some people might fall asleep because they're resting for the first time in a long time. I always take that as a compliment, by the way, if that happens. Or if I'm working like with a company with dancers, then for the first time, it allows them more access to move from their whole self, instead of maybe some of these more movement techniques, like in music too, these techniques that have been these value systems. So I'm always interested how to encourage the whole person to be present and really find our own authentic language, our own way of speaking and moving. And the biggest part is, where is our space for choice? Where is our space to make a new choice, to play, to explore, to change our orientation, to tip our brain, to pour it, and to let our heart come forward and lead through movement. So I find that it creates a lot more possibilities and becomes a grounding practice in relationship with the earth, because earth building is a huge other part of my practice. And, then from this grounded place of listening, then we can start working with our hands in the earth. I know creation stories, like, we come from the clay, we come from the earth. And so I find that when I bridge this with earth building, then we get to come together as a community and build new earth markers, whether they're a fire pit, an earth bench, a playscape for children, these organic, natural forms that are around, that our bodies naturally want to be close to. Yeah, I worship the round. So I might have gone a little off track. Forgive me.
No, not at all. No. This is a very, very fluid show, and there's the most flexibility you'll ever know in this. This is your show, whatever you want to share with us. And the next question I have for you is, how do you envision? Let me start with. So when you say these classes, is there like a criteria, or how does one access your class? I mean, what is there? Yeah. How does that? How do we do that? How do we access all that? Do you have it online? Is it in person? Do you hybrid it?
Yeah, I'm actually starting a new series soon online that meets once a week. That's another way to engage online. If you just want, I also record it. And so I have a couple series that are already available, that I've already created. And you can find those on my website, brooksmiley.com. And that's a somatic education series. I also have just like audio files for that you can access, where you can actually take with you out on a walk on a land where you want to be, or as you're falling asleep, maybe a new practice before you go to bed. So those are two ways. And then also, like, if you're in the Santa Barbara, Ojai, California, Chumash territory, I hold community class. We gather at least once a month, and I do all this community work outside of the university. So
very nice, very nice. That like again comes back down to access, and of course now I've got all these things going on in my head about interpreting and closed caption and CART and all this technology that's also available for our deaf and hard of hearing audience members too. So this technology is just beautiful. So
I'd love to talk to you more about that.
Oh yeah, let's talk for sure. Give me a call anytime for sure.
Definitely.
So how is somatic movement present in conversation with re-indigenization, and some people might say decolonizing the frame, the mind, the conditioning, all of that has it, the doctrine of discovery, if you will. So just take it from there.
Oh, thanks, Tosh. Where do I start? Ways I've been exploring it recently, beyond the ways that I connect with land, is through language. I've been the last couple years relearning Osage language. And through that, I'm able to better know and tap into the broader way of seeing and the broader way of including culture and ways of thought in that. I like to focus on re-indigenization because the beginning of that prefix re means to return or come back. Whereas the movement of D, as in decolonization, D means away and from. So I find that if we can return and come back to indigenization, just as a movement of perspective, rather than to center from colonizing, I find that sometimes that can be triggering or repeating of the source of trauma. So I focus on just like, okay, let's center from indigenization. Let's center from like, right? Like who we are. So even the movement of that in centering it in the work. So I include a lot ways of identifying land. Like, for example, I was given permission, the word from Mia Lopez of Coastal Shumash Band. Yukune is where I live, where the two waters meet, come together from the mountains. It's where they come together. Whereas the anthropologist or colonizer's word is where the waters go away from each other. So just focusing on that difference of where things come together and how that's embedded in the language. That's how then that comes into how we are and can be in our body. So where are the places where in our body we come together? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really deep because I've been hearing a lot about the generations. We've got our silent generation,
Yeah.
people born 1925 to 1945, and then the following generation, the baby boomers, and then Generation Y, and right now we're in Gen Z. Wow. Gen Z started, I think, 1997, 96, 97, anybody born in that time. When we're talking about trauma, because that's where interest lies, because everyone has trauma. And whether people give themselves permission to speak about it or not, or learn so they can teach it. Do you feel, I asked our speaker last week the same question about her ancestors, and she's African Indigenous descent, the trauma from, say, your great-grandparents to your grandparents, to your parents, to you, and now you say you're working with the Gen Z generation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that it's calming down that colonized hardcore trauma that's happened? Do you feel like the youth is kind of like, okay, that happened, let's move on? Or what do you think about, how would you compare the different generations with approaching your somatic work? And then that brings me to another question that I'll ask you after.
Thanks for asking that. I would say that everybody is unique. So while some, I can notice some trends in the youth that I work with, I can say that mental health has been something that I've seen really shift and change in the last 7 years. And that's where I started to realize as I was teaching, like, oh, I'm just really teaching how to ground in the body, because attention spans can become very, very short, even with ourselves. So it's like, okay, well, maybe it's just not, maybe it just doesn't happen that much. And so what is it like to kind of play like with space and time, like taffy a little bit and just kind of stretch it out a little bit? Okay, can we stay here? Is this bearable? And how to create some comfort and pleasure in slowing down. So it's been a real reteaching of the body in that way. And I would say both in I think in my generation, 1980s born, this is really a middle ground of learning what can we let go of. And there's a lot of work in that. There's a lot of work in that. And as I say that, I give so much gratitude to the women and the people that came before me in giving me this space and time of learning in my body. And I honor what they came up against and not only survived, but found a way to, be abundant and, have my mom, have me. And so it's something about supporting expression. It's supporting space for difference. And I think another big thing and aspect of it that I'll close with is just learning how to do that together. In at Standing Rock, I began to notice that the bodies of both sides became harder in some ways. And I find that in protest spaces, and I care a lot. I have so much care for how we are present in those spaces of our no and our yes, and how to uplift softness, or at least like harmony and balance in our bodies, joy, love as a strength. And I find that, with the body, we already know how to do it. We have a place where we come together. Our midline is where we grow together. The answers are all in here. And then it's like, how do I uplift that and support that in community so there can be space for difference, with acceptance, with belonging. And I find that can be really healing of trauma. Because so much displacement and forced migration and quiet or hiding or shame, and how that lives in the body is like, I found those to be very prevalent in a part of my path in learning how to honor and recognize it, and create health to support other strategies.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. A lot of people that I love very, very dearly are gone. Because when I was young, I had older friends, like as in 10, 20, and 30-year older friends. And my best friend died at 96. And Richard Erdos, and he was able to shuffle. And when he walked and moved, when we went out to have, dinner at a restaurant in Santa Fe, are you able to work with generations that are like approaching like 90s and 100? Does the same type of approach work for that as well?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And like, because I study basic neurocellular patterns, it's like, how can that apply to supporting just standing and sitting, laying down and sitting, rising, these things with our elders I've been working with, and also things with nerves, with diabetes. My father has diabetes, and I work a lot with how to create sensation and grasping again. It's really a privilege to be in the learning of how to support, people where they are. And a lot of the times it comes back to simple things that we repeat again and again, but how can we, bring more care to those spaces or more resources So there's support there.
Well, I feel a real calmness with your energy, that you're not in a rush, like, sometimes you can just feel, because right now in society, it's just like on the phone, it's just like so much stimulation has come with the web, with that internet access, and it's good and it's bad, and like everything else, there's positives and negatives. So as we wrap up my questions for you, can you tell us at the moment, what are you working on? And is there theater involved in that?
Hey, yes. Yeah. So my newest work is called Earth Speaks, and I've been just dreaming big. How can I dream even bigger to support our communities? So this work is, I'm really wanting to invite it to partner and to collaborate. And I see it as my work for the next decade. It's a public art project grounded in healing. And it includes working over a series of time. So surprise, it's not a rushed process, but it would be something to engage with a residency or seasonally with a community based on community needs, that I would support somatic education. And then I would teach earth building principles, and we would build an earth marker together that was of value to everybody in the circle. So including elders, including youth, because I think what we give rise to and what we can give presence to might be of service for those to come, to create belonging and to kind of remap and learn how to be seen and held. And the last stage to the project is, after an earth marker would be built, holding an all arts gathering where people of the community can come and share and activate the space through, arts. And I create community-based dance scores. So basically just a list of a couple tasks you can try or not try in community, something to play around with in the space, something to open up a little bit more freedom, or it just kind of creates a fun activation that then would give a wider public or audience a clue into what happened here,
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much for that, because I think, the word sustainability gets thrown around a lot, and we want to talk about sustainability for, first of all, our planet, because we all share this home together called Mother Earth. And then sustainability for the lands that we are closely associated with, the sustainability for ourselves. And with your movement, I really like that I'm hearing you're leaving sustainable tools, you're utilizing the internet for us, you're giving us some practices we could do, so we can just let that seed go and just sprout other people that want this healing, because man, I want it. So I want to learn more. So the last thing before I say, I want to pass it over to Elena for a quick information blurb. She's going to tell you a bunch of good stuff. Is, what is your definition for thriving in purpose? That's our theme for this season.
But everybody deserves to thrive, and that we can all help each other and support each other to do that. And I think the more we can encourage and bring that care to each other and lift each other up, that helps all of us tap into what our purpose is. That helps through the camaraderie of these other Native artists through the Native Launchpad program, including you, including Elena. It's like that, just like, it's like just, it's nutrition, it's medicine, it's food. We really give each other that in community, and encouraging that, being patient with it, that creates purpose. That creates us to be able to tap into what that is. I know that through the Earth Speaks project, the dream is to how that can live in national parks, national monuments, and forests, to where how an app might be made, but how more awareness can then help bring leadership back into Native hands in those spaces, how we can create a Native youth artist residency in these spaces so that these lands are ours that we can return to.
Yes.
And I say, like, what gives me strength in my purpose is that this all feels a lot bigger than me. And the fact that I can advocate and call upon my gifts, like, I'm a very sweet person, like, it naturally comes, like how to go with our own grace, you know, in being able to bridge access and shift,
Yes.
so that communities can thrive. We can help each other thrive.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for asking.
You're awesome. Thank you. And I have so much to share and so many resources to give you. And I've got bridges for you that are just going wild in my head, but I better stop now and just say thank you. And let's just take a quick breather here. And let's hear what Indigenous Ways is up to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Huge thank you, Brooke. You know, I feel like in a mix of super excited, super honored, and very zen from your extraordinary sharing of wisdom, hard knocks, experiences, to what you're talking about is activating spaces. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And, you know, Tash talked about earlier, we had the great honor of connecting with Brooke in 2019 at WA, Western Arts Alliance, where she's at the conference now in Canada. And to see her move, you know, there's no vocab I can say. There's no words. But I do want you to check it out at Brooke's website, which is brookesmiley.com. And I remember we did an online thing, and seeing your showcasing was absolutely breathtaking. So if you haven't looked at her website, please go to her website. As she said, she's doing online courses, so do have a look and enroll. But this is that wonderful time to let you know what we've been up to, or what we are going to get up to. And if you're here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, what's going on is we've got our 5th and final monthly festival, which is happening on September 21st at the Santa Fe Rail Yard Park. We're pretty jazzed because there's many things that's going to be going on the performance green from 4 to 7 p.m. Mountain Time. We have working with many community members, nonprofit, for-profit, many organizations. So we've got Wiseful New Mexico, which is a circusry nonprofit organization here, which will be doing workshops. Also, Earthseed Black Alliance, Arts Alliance, they'll be sharing many wonderful things. Here we've got face painting, arts workshops, all sorts of great things. We've also got local artisans, food vendors, where you can bring your own picnic and chair and enjoy the entertainment, kicking off from 5 to 7 with local artists, G Precious, and finishing off with Interstate, which is a reggae band to dance and celebrate indigeneity, Native Americans, our LGBTQIA2 plus communities, and our deaf and hard of hearing communities. Now, if you are not in Santa Fe, don't worry. You can go to our website, IndigenousWays.org, and there you can register for our online live broadcast from the main stage, and that's from 5 till 7. So we'd love to see you. And zapping along the bottom are all our websites, our social media. So if you're on social media, glad you're here. Or if you're watching this through social media, please subscribe or like us. Our next wonderful presenter that we're going to have in the Wisdom Circle, which will be after the Indigenous Ways Festival, is no other than the beautiful Penny Gamble Williams, who is a Chappaquiddick woman. She is this extraordinary environmental human rights arts activist, and she's going to be coming to us from Rhode Island, sharing her incredible wisdoms through this platform. So please, we'd love to see you. And if you can't see us, all of these presentations are live on our website, IndigenousWays.org. We have been very honored to support over 175 presenters since April 2020 when we started this format. We've been very blessed because from the 1st of April when we started, we had ASL interpreted access, and yeah, a lot of fun. So this time round, this has been really possible, and want to thank our beautiful sponsors, including National Endowment of the Arts, the City of Santa Fe Arts and Cultural Department, as well as New Mexico Humanities and the National Endowment of Humanities. And also to our Indigenous board members, some of them are on live, thanks for being here, and also you, our individual donors, making this all possible. So Brooke's archive of this, if you want to see it more, because there was so many richness of what she did share, you'll be able to see that in the next couple of days on our website, and also the over 175 different Indigenous, deaf and hard of hearing, LGBTQIA presenters in the circle. If you're able to and want to support us, we have donations, either PayPal, Venmo. We also have donations through our website, or you can send checks to Indigenous Ways through our snail mail PO Box 4073. That's Santa Fe, New Mexico 87502. So anyway, it's that wonderful time. And what happens here with our audiences that have joined us live in our Zoom, if you want to turn on your camera, remember this is getting broadcast live, so if you're okay with that, we would love to see you at this time. So you can turn on your cameras, and if you have any questions, please put that in for this is that time here, or things that might have been simmering of what Brooke shared. If you are in our social media and you want to share some comments with Brooke, you can please type that and we'll share that. And before I turn it over back to Tash, and if anyone's in Zoom and feeling a bit shy and don't want to turn on your camera, put that in the chat box and we'll share that with Brooke. But from our social media, I'm just going to go to Amy Lafferty. She says quite a number of things because you really inspired her tonight, Brooke, like many of us, with your extraordinary walk. And Amy says Brooke has the calm voice and is so intellectual and fresh. Words like collaboration, value, arts, community, and the young and old sound exciting and positively refreshing. Refreshing. I totally agree, Amy. And Amy also says she was thinking that deep as in language, deep as in connection to perception, and deep as in body. Thank you so much for that. With that, I'm going to turn that to you, Tash.
Okay, everybody, I want you guys to meet Aroha. Aroha is Maori for love. So Aroha's last name is Yeje, which means small, because Aroha is tiny, but she's growing very quickly. She came from Sawmill, Arizona. So I want everybody to meet Aroha, and I'm going to put Aroha down. And I just want to let everybody know, I know Judy Stout, you're here this evening. Thank you very much. What an honor to have you with us. And Zol is going to be speaking for one person at a time, and her and Mariah are going to interchange, and they put a little marker in our chat box to explain how that works. So, all right, let's see who wants to say hi first. Any questions for our beautiful Brooke? Would you like to raise your hand, or would you like me to pick on you, or how should we proceed? Okay, so I guess we got 10 minutes, everybody. So let's just go ahead and go right to Marcelina. Marcelina, would you like to share some words with our beautiful Brooke?
Oh my God, what a treasure you are. It's so amazing because I have been involved with a piece of land for decades and an artist, and it looks like there may be a possibility of an artist, not exactly community, it's owned by the National Park System. So you have given me so much to think about and so much hope in thinking a wider vision about community, not just artist retreats, but thinking about how to build community, you know, from the beginning. And so I really have to thank you. I know this is very, you know, not very much information about it, but I know we don't have much time, but to be given, you know, some seeds at the beginning of a project is a real gift. And I had no idea what to expect. I've been doing a year of childhood trauma somatic therapy. And when I, you know, saw the word somatic, I went, oh my God, I have to hear this. And it has changed my life. So I can't wait to watch you perform and hopefully to get in touch with you about questions about how to proceed with what I'm doing and the group that I'll be bringing together will be doing. So grazie, grazie, grazie.
Yay.
So
Wow.
great to see you, Marcelina, and thank you too
Yes,
for
you
the
too.
journey of healing, you know, the healing, the healing, the healing, which is so, so important. We just saw Marcelina very recently. I think it was at the July Indigenous Ways Festival. So that was a delight to see you. And thank you for your work and walk with the art and the videoing and the filming that you do. And it's beautiful to see you.
And, you know, I just want to say what you and Tosh are doing is just magnificent. And I tell everybody I can because I am so moved by your commitment, your vision, and your ability to collect these amazing people to gift us with. You know, it's so important for us to know all of these amazing things that are happening on the planet because we are inundated with all this horror show stuff every day. And yet there's just such amazing things happening.
Yes, thank you very much, Marcelina. Thank you for your walk, and thank you for all you're doing too. I would like to go, and I would like to move up to Kaliutu. Would you like to say something, Kaliuti? Hi.
Sigoli, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you for being here.
I always introduce myself in my original language. So I say, Sigoli Swagwag Galahindi Niu Gets, Wagisli Wagi Niwa Kitoloda, Onidag Ngwe Wenege, Yonko Yuko Donas. So what I say is, hello, everyone. My name is Galahindi, and I'm a member of the people of the Standing Stone First Nations of the Thames here on Turtle Island. I happen to be Bear Clan. We are located on the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, Delaware, and Huron nations. In the northern part of Turtle Island, that's been kind of segregated and relabeled Canada. And within those confines, I'm in a small area that's now called Southwestern Ontario. And I love the resources of having an online platform where people can actually share their experiences and in their knowledge, because as I was saying earlier in the chat, it's part of our creating a more harmonious world. We really have to, first of all, recognize that we all have differences. We acknowledge those differences and we respect them. And we do that by asking questions and educating ourselves. Once we've asked questions and we've educated ourselves, the next step is to share that knowledge with the people around us, whether that's our family, our friends, our neighbors, our co-workers, because that, as I think Brooke was trying to say earlier, is what creates that ripple of effect, where that circle just expands out, and we all become have a very mutual respect for one another and have empathy in each other's historical gathering. So I appreciate that, and I want to say Yanko to Brooke for sharing your information and your wisdom today.
Nkashi, thank you. I see you. Thank you so much for speaking.
Yeah, thank you very much from the Dene Nation to you and your people and your land and your ancestors. And thank you for your walk. And we are coming to the top of the hour. So I want to ask Adele, would you like to say hey? Okay, well, I want to take this time to say, oh, is Adele coming on? I see something happening. But in the meantime, while Adele's coming on, if Adele's able to come on, I just want to thank you all very much for joining us and believing in Indigenous ways. And thank you for being with us tonight. And I see Adele. Adele, would you like to unmute your microphone?
I thought it was unmuted.
I can hear you now.
I thought, okay. I just want to say thank you for sharing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Adele. We're really grateful that you're here. Also, all our live participants, whether that be through the Zoom that we're on at the moment live or through our social media, that you're here, or if you're watching the recorded version into the future. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your time and blessing us. We are so appreciative. I want to give a shout out to Zol and also to Mariah, our two interpreters, making access available to all. Importantly, to each and every one of you for blessing us in the circle. We're going to look forward to seeing you Wednesday, August the 21st at the Indigenous Ways Festival at the Santa Fe Rail Yard Park on the performance green. It is 4 to 7 Mountain Time. Don't panic if you're in Canada or
September.
Yeah.
September. Thank you. Thank you for the correction.
Thank you.
That is Wednesday, September the 21st is the next and last, our fifth and last Indigenous Ways Festival, 4 to 7 p.m. as in Mountain Time. And if you can't be with us in person, don't panic. We're also going to be live beaming from 5 to 7 p.m. Mountain Time. We'd love for you to join us. So go to our website, IndigenousWays.org, and you can register there, and we'll look forward to seeing you electronically. But, you know, in saying that, this circle, a sacred circle, wouldn't have been possible not only with you, but the incredible wisdom, the incredible experience from Brooke Smiley. So with that, let's give it up for the one and only Brooke Smiley.
I'd like to give a huge thank you, Tosh and Lena. I am so grateful not only for getting to join you, I've been admiring you and this practice for years since you began it. I thank you. It's the biggest gift to our community. I watch the recording sometimes when I can't come in person, and it's like I recognize what a gift you're giving. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the circle.
And thank all of you out there tonight. We love you. And Donna, it's good to see you. Glad you're back in Columbus, Ohio. Thanks for supporting Indigenous Ways in person in Santa Fe at the festival and for Indian Market. Thank you. Love you all. Have a great night.
Take a breath.